Good afternoon. Welcome to this live broadcast of the National Assembly, the afternoon sitting on this day of the 19th of May, the year 2022. This live broadcast is brought to you by the Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in partnership with the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. Welcome. In the order paper this afternoon, members will be considering a report of the Committee of the Whole House on the Children Bill, National Assembly, Bill number 38 of 2021, by the leader of a majority party, that the House agrees with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the Children Bill, a bill that is originating from the National Assembly. This is the first motion on the order paper that members will be considering the report of the Children of the Whole House on the report of the Committee of the Whole House on the Children Bill, a bill originating from the National Assembly. Bill number 38 of 2021. A question will be put on this bill. This bill, again, will see members go into a committee of the whole house on this particular bill, which is subject to recommittal of clauses number 30, number 64, and number 250. It is a bill that its debate has been ongoing for a while on the floor of the National Assembly, and this is the last stretch on this particular bill. So a report this afternoon will be considered on the floor of the House. A look at this bill is that the principal object of this bill is to repeal the Children Act 2001 to provide for parental responsibility, fostering, adoption, custody, maintenance, guardianship, care, and protection of children, to make provision for the administration of children's institutions, to give effect to the provisions of the Constitution, and for connected purposes. The bill seeks to align the Children Act with the Constitution of Kenya 2010, international and regional treaties and instruments dedicated to the promotion and protection of the rights of children. It seeks to align the Children's Act with the Constitution of Kenya 2010, international and regional treaties and instruments dedicated to the promotion and protection of the rights of the children. There you have it at the entrance of the National Assembly chambers. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Justin Muturi, has stepped into the chambers. He will be presiding over this afternoon sitting. I will now hand you over for this live broadcast that is brought to you by a Parliamentary Broadcasting Unit in conjunction with Kenya Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Kamche Menza. Enjoy the viewing. Good afternoon.
Let us pray. Almighty God, who in wisdom and goodness have appointed the office of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants whom you've been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests were committed to our charge. Amen. Sergeant at Arms, can you ring the quorum bell?
Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Justin Muturi, has just ordered that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes. This is to allow members to get into the chambers for the business to kick off. 50 members are required to be in the chambers at the start of the business. But according to standing orders, if the number 10 minutes, this is, of course, to give room to the members who are not yet into the chambers to get into the chambers. So currently is a quorum bell underway. Of course, we expected to see members walk into the house for the business of the day to kick off. On the order paper, members will be looking at a number of motions as well as reports and bills. The first motion is on consideration of a report of the Committee of the Whole House on the Children Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2021. This bill has been on the floor of the House, has been debated on the floor of the House for the past few days. And this afternoon, a question is scheduled to be put, of course, subject to recommittal of clauses 30, 64, and 250. There is also a motion on the establishment of a parliamentary health service unit. Establishment of a parliamentary health service unit by the Chairperson Committee on Members' Services and Facilities, that the House adopts the report of the Select Committee on Members' Services and Facilities on establishment of a parliamentary health service unit. That was laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, August 11th of the year 2021. A question, of course, will be put on this particular motion for members to decide which way that particular motion will go. Committee of the Whole House, members will be proceeding on a Committee of the Whole House this afternoon to consider the Children Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2021 by the leader of a majority party. This bill seeks to align the Children Act with the Constitution of Kenya 2010, international and regional treaties and instruments dedicated to the promotion and protection of the rights of the children. The bill also provides for the safeguards for the rights and welfare of the children. Members are walking into the chambers, as you can see. Currently is a quorum bell, a 10-minute quorum bell. And as expected, members will be walking into the chambers before the House begins its business. The Children Bill provides for the safeguards of the rights and welfare of the child and enforcement of these rights. Contains provisions relating to parental responsibility, extension of responsibility beyond 18th birthday, and provides for regulations thereof. Provides for the administration of children's services and contains general provisions relating to the National Council for Children's Services and the role of county governments in the administration of children services. Those are some of the proposals in this particular bill. Some of the clauses contains in this particular bill. Again, pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 42A, subsection 5, a number of members will be asking questions for reply before specified committees. The member for Ruiru, Honorable Simon Kingara, will be asking the Cabinet Secretary for Transport, Infrastructure, Housing, Urban Development and Public Works to tell what measures the ministry has put in place to address the numerous road accidents occurring along the newly constructed Ruiru Uplands Road and the rehabilitated Ruiru Committee Road. that have led to many fatalities. Members are getting into the chambers. We have Deputy Speaker there. We have Honorable Mbadi working in there. Of course, the number that is to be attained is 50 for the House to start its business. Currently is a 10-minute quorum bell. The member for Ruiru, Honorable Simon Kingara, will also be asking the Cabinet Secretary for Transport, Infrastructure, Housing, Urban Development and Public Works to tell when the ministry will erect adequate bumps as well as install sufficient pedestrian crossings on the two roads to avert further losses of lives along the said roads. These questions will be replied before the Departmental Committee on Transport, Public Works and Housing. The member for Marsabit County, Honorable Safia Adan, will also be asking the Cabinet Secretary for Water, Sanitation and Irrigation to start the plans in place by the ministry, if any, to ensure establishment of more water supply projects, particularly sinking of boreholes and construction of water pans and dams in Marsabit County, specifically in Saku constituency, to address the acute water shortage experienced in the area and resource-based conflicts amongst communities in the county. Member for Marsabit County, Honorable Safia Adan, will be seeking to understand what plans the Cabinet Secretary for Water, Sanitation and Irrigation has to ensure establishment of more water supply projects, particularly sinking of boreholes and construction of water pans and dams in Marsabit County, specifically in Saku constituency, to address the acute water shortage that is being experienced in the area and resource-based conflicts amongst communities in the county. This question will be replied before the Departmental Committee on Environment and National Resources. Members of the National Assembly will also this afternoon be considering a motion on the implementation status of the reports on a petition on irregular renewal of leases of land by Del Monte Kenya Limited and eviction of workers from their land in Roysambu by KDF. A motion on the implementation status of the reports on a petition on irregular renewal of leases of land by Del Monte Kenya Limited and eviction of workers from their land in Roysambu by KDF. This is a motion by the Chairperson Committee on Implementation that the House adopt the report of the Select Committee on Implementation on its consideration of the implementation status on the following matters: the report of the Departmental Committee on Lands on a petition on the irregular renewal of leases of land by Del Monte Kenya Limited that was laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, December 22nd, 2021, and the report of the Departmental Committee on Lands on its consideration of the petition by former workers of the late Mayor Jacob Samuels regarding the inversion and eviction of workers from their land in Roysambu constituency by the Kenya Defence Forces, a report that was laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, December 22nd, the year 2022. So this is a motion that is in the order paper that members will this afternoon be considering as part of the business for this afternoon sitting. There is also a motion on the study visit to the Legislative Assembly of Alberta, Canada. This one is by the Chairperson Committee on Members' Services and Facilities. that the House adopts the report of the Committee on Members' Services and Facilities on a study visit to the Legislative Assembly of Alberta, Canada, undertaken from 14th to 18th October 2019. A report that was tabled, that was laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, December 1st, the year 2020. This is a motion that is also part of the business that members will be considering this afternoon. Currently is a 10-minute quorum bell that has been ordered by the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Justin Muturi, to ensure the House achieves its requisite quorum for House business to kick off. Members have been trickling into the chambers since the beginning of that bell. Members, of course, again, are not allowed to be walking out of the chambers at this time when the quorum bell is underway, just to ensure that the process of trying to achieve the Leader of Majority Party, Honorable Amos Kimunya, has just stepped out, followed by Honorable Member. But of course, currently is a quorum bell that members should be getting into the chambers for the business of the day to start. The prompt payment bill originating from the Senate, Bill number 16 of 2021, is also lined up for consideration on the floor of the House. It is a bill by the Chairperson Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning, a bill that is on its second stage. It's supposed to be read for the second time, but it is a bill that is originating from the Senate, the Prompt Payment Bill, Senate Bill number 16 of 2021. The Mung Beans Bill, also originating from the Senate, Bill number 9 of 2020, is also lined up for second reading at the floor of the National Assembly. It is a bill by the Chairperson Departmental Committee on Agriculture and Livestock. Also, a bill originating from the Senate is the County Boundaries Bill, Senate Bill number 20 of 2021, again by the Chairperson Departmental Committee, Justice and Legal Affairs. These are some of the bills that, aside from the motions that members will be considering this afternoon, these are 3 bills originating from the Senate that members will be looking at. The 3 bills are set to be read for the second time or at their second stage. The quorum bell is still underway. Of course, at the lapse of the 10 minutes, according to the standing order, the Speaker may order that the bell be rung for another 5 minutes. Of course, to allow members to walk into the House. So 3 bills from the Senate will be considered at the floor of the National Assembly this afternoon. That's the prompt payment bill. A look at what this bill entails is that the bill the principal object of this particular bill is to put in place a legal framework to facilitate prompt payment for supply of goods, works, and services procured by government entities, both at the national and county level, to put in place a legal framework to facilitate prompt payment for supply of goods, works, and services procured by government entities, both at the national and county level. Some of the proposals in the clauses on this particular bill include that the bill provides for the processing of payment. The bill requires that a procuring entity shall pay for the goods, works, or services provided by the prescribed payment date. Failure to pay amount due or within the stipulated time, a procuring entity shall be liable to pay an interest calculated on the basis of the central bank base rates. The bill requires that a procuring entity shall pay for the goods, works, or services provided by the prescribed payment date. Failure to pay amount due within the stipulated time, a procuring entity shall be liable to pay an interest calculated on the basis of the central bank base rates. There is also a clause that proposes or seeks to there is clause 8 of the bill provides for offences that an accounting officer who, without reasonable cause or negligently fails to pay the amount due, commits an offence and shall be liable to pay a fine not exceeding 1 million shilling or to be imprisoned for a term not exceeding 5 years, or both fine and imprisonment. Clause 8 of this particular bill provides for offences and indicates that an accounting officer who, without reasonable cause or negligently fails to pay the amount due, commits an offence and shall be liable to pay a fine not exceeding 1 million shillings or to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 5 years, or to both fine and imprisonment. Remember, currently is a quorum bell. For members to get into the chambers for the business of the day to start. An order that has been issued by the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Justin Muturi. But the quorum is yet to be achieved. Clause 7 and 9 of the prompt payment bill originating from the Senate provides for the requirement for the procuring entity and the supplier to deal with each other fairly and lawfully, and the power to make regulations by the Cabinet Secretary. Clause 7 and 9 of this particular bill provides for the requirement for the procuring entity and the supplier to deal with each other fairly and lawfully, and the power to make regulations by the Cabinet Secretary. Clause 9 of this bill delegates legislative powers to the Cabinet Secretary to make regulations generally for the better carrying into effect of any provisions of this Act. Clause 9 of the bill delegates legislative powers to the Cabinet Secretary to make regulations generally for the better carrying into effect of any provisions. Well, The quorum has been achieved. I will now hand you over for this live broadcast. Good afternoon.
Very well. Honour members, now we quote.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Order members, member for Suba, is it North? Today you appear to have broken some record on time of arrival. Honour members, I wish to introduce to you a delegation of visitors from a faith-based organization known as the General Overseer of Omega Ministries Church of the United Republic of Tanzania. The delegation, which is seated in the Speaker's Gallery, comprises of 1, Mr. Samuel Samson Rolinga, who is leader of delegation, Ms. Deborah Mudhanga, an evangelist, Mr. Caleb Mwambungu, an evangelist, Mr. Clement Mwinuka, secretary of the delegation, and Mrs. Bladina Nyoni, who is the administrator. Honour members, the delegation is in the National Assembly as guests of the member for Busia County, the Honourable Dr. Florence Mutua Wainga. And on my own behalf and that of the House, I wish to welcome the delegation to the National Assembly and wish them a pleasant stay in the country. I thank you. Maybe the member for Busia may wish to say something. Honourable Florence Mutua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for welcoming the guests from Tanzania. I want to also take this opportunity to welcome Prophet Rolinga and his entourage. For the honorable members who may want to go for prayers, he will be in Charter Hall from tomorrow until Sunday. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Thank you very much. Next order.
Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Leader of the majority.
There's none.
You want us to manage the bill to do this?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I beg to lay the following papers on the floor of the House today, Thursday, May the 19th, 2022. A, the 2022 pre-election economic and fiscal report from the National Treasury. Number B, a report to Parliament on all new loans contracted by the government from 1st of January 2022 to 30th of April 2022 from the National Treasury. And lastly, the annual report and financial statements of the Teachers Service Commission for the financial year 2020-2021. Thank you.
The Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Health. The Vice Chair, the Honourable Joshua Kutuni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Thursday, May 19, 2022. Report of the Departmental Committee on Health on its consideration of Community Health Services Bill, Senate Bill number 34 of 2022. Thank you.
Very well. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
first segment questions. The first question is by the member for Ruiru, Honorable Kingara.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for according me this opportunity to ask question number 122 of 2022 on behalf of the great people of Ruiru. Mr. Speaker, sir, the question is directed to the Cabinet Secretary for Transport, Infrastructure, Housing, Urban Development, and Public Works. One, Mr. Speaker, what measures has the ministry put in place to address the numerous road accidents occurring along the newly constructed Ruiru Upland Road, formerly C65 and now B116, and the rehabilitated Ruiru Kamete Road, formerly C63 and now B115, that have led to many fatalities? Second, Mr. Speaker, when will the ministry elect adequate bumps as well as install sufficient pedestrian crossing on the two roads to avert further loss of lives along the said road? Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
That question will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Transport and Public Works. But I noticed that the Honorable Kingara is asking when bumps are going to be erected along the roads. You know, it's a very interesting thing that the issue of bumps appears to be unique to Kenya. You travel around the world, you don't see roads with the bumps. I think maybe we need to be riding on hard cuts as opposed to vehicles, because in other countries you don't see road bumps on highways. But here I think there's a problem. I think maybe our engineers need to really address this issue, Honorable Kingara. But it's a good point you have raised. The next question is by the member for Marsabit County, the Honorable Safia.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I rise to ask question number 123 of 2022 in today's order paper, and it is directed to the Cabinet Secretary of Water, Sanitation, and Irrigation. Could the Cabinet Secretary state the plan in place by the ministry, if any, to ensure establishment of more water supply projects, particularly seeking of boreholes, constructions of water ponds and dams in Marsabit County, specifically in Saku constituency, to address water shortage experienced in the area and resource-based conflict among communities in the county? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The question will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Environment and Natural Resources. The second segment is statement, and the only statement is a statement by the leader of the majority party.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order number 44-2A, I rise to give the following statement on behalf of the House Business Committee, which met on Tuesday, 17th of May, 2022, to prioritize the business for consideration. Honorable Speaker, as members are aware, we are in the final part of the 6th session of the 12th Parliament. This is the home stretch at last moment, which really matters before the coming week. Honorable Speaker, the House Business Committee shall convene on Tuesday, the 24th of May, to schedule the business for the rest of the week. And Honorable Speaker, I now wish to lay this statement on the table of the House. Thank you.
Very well. Well, I see a member for Garissa Township as an intervention.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I asked about 2 weeks ago, I seek for a number of statements, Mr. Speaker. I seek a statement from the Chair of Transport on the many and huge contracts given to the Chinese since 2013, and I asked for a detailed statement. Up to now, I am not seeing it. And Mr. Speaker, the most important one is the request for a statement on the appointment of the chairperson of the assumption of office, assumption to the office of the president, particularly more important during this period of a transitional election. come 9th of August. Speaker, because the assumption of office, and Mr. Speaker, I have a copy here, states clearly, read together with Article 154 of the Constitution, that there shall be the secretary to the cabinet, and who shall automatically becomes the chair of the Assumption of Office Committee. So, Mr. Speaker, I raise this as a matter of priority, and up to now, the House is, might go on that synod, maybe next month, early next month, and that person must be appointed and approved by this House, but I'm seeing that statement till today, Mr. Speaker, is not available. So, and I'm not seeing any chair, and that day you are referred to the leader of majority. So if he has an answer, I'll be very happy. If he gives that answer, then we deal with the matter.
Leader of majority, you have the answer.
Honorable Speaker, indeed I did undertake to follow up the matter. I've contacted the Attorney General and also the Vice Chair of JLAC. He seized on the matter, and I believe he's to bring a statement on Tuesday. Just waiting, getting the matters put together. But we agreed by latest Tuesday he should have a response to the House.
Maybe yeah. I'm not the agent of necessity, but quite unusually, I actually have been sent a copy of the answer. The person who has answered that question seems to have assumed it was ordinary correspondence between his office and that of the clerk. So there's a letter written to the clerk in response to that question, and a copy given to me. I've actually read, I even know the answer. But since I'm not the one who is supposed to respond, I cannot respond to Honorable Duale. But there's an answer. There's a written answer that is available. I think it's only that I think the person responding assumed, or the staff, they assumed that it is just, this is normal, what they call confidential correspondence. But this was a question which was asked on the floor of the House, and does not require, I don't know, I don't get copies of answers, because I may not know, I can't keep all of them. But this one, quite strangely, has found its way to my office by way of a copy. So maybe if the Honorable Duale wants, I can give him that copy to read.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, I think it's not okay. Mr. Speaker, you are the chair, you directed it, and what the leader said is in total contradiction to what you said. The leader is saying he has spoken to the AG, spoken to the Vice Chair of JLAC, they are cooking up, they are arranging documents, but you said you already have the answer on your table. And Mr. Speaker, you're unanswered, and you are the leader of the legislature. And under Article 35 of the Constitution, access to information is a constitutional right, not only for me. So, Mr. Speaker, I think you'll be very fair to the people of Kenya. They've already heard you have an answer. And the people who sent you, I don't know why they didn't send to the leader of majority. In fact, they used to copy me. I don't know why they have not copied him. Speaker, I will really urge you that you table that. I have never seen the Speaker tabling a document. But I really want you to do the extraordinary, because this is a matter of great national importance. Mr. Speaker, it goes to the heart of the culture of impunity. In fact, someone will ask who was taking minutes of the cabinet since that time. If there was the absence of the secretary to the cabinet, but now I don't want to go into that. My only interest was the chair of the Assumption of Office. Very critical office and very critical committee, particularly for a transitional election where the president who is in power is exiting for good, for retirement. So, Mr. Speaker, I think it'll be very fair to the House, so that if you can even avail me the answer, And you know, if the
Let,
answer,
let me help you, Honorable Duale. Can I direct the people here at the table, the clerks at the table, to go to the office of the clerk, pick the letter in response to that question, because it is in the clerk's office, and if they don't find the clerk's copy, go into my office in the entry, because I can tell you where it is. On the entry, I've already noted, because for me, I could only note, because I was not meant to receive the answer. Incidentally, in the answer, which is long, it even addresses some of the issues that the Honorable Duale has actually just raised now. So it may be good that send somebody to bring the letter or the response. The leader majority is here. But as you say, it is right that that letter should have, the clerk should have forwarded it to the office of the leader majority or the chair of JLAC. Just get the letter. It is there. That question on assumption of office. In the meantime, we can be transacting other business. Perhaps, Honorable Duale, you will then raise your supplementaries after that.
as I told you also, I had, and I'm sure the clerk on the table can do a trace. I had more than 4 other statements to Finance Committee, particularly on questions and statements on the National Treasury, on the debt level. Some, you remember the one on the fuel prices, which you remember the Vice Chair of Energy brought an answer which was not signed, and it was admissible, and she was to bring the next day one which is signed. Then there was one on the national, on the infrastructure, on the Transport Committee. Speaker, if you can ask them that they avail it letters by next Wednesday, when I'll be in the House, I'll be very happy. Because it has taken more than 3 months.
Wednesday?
Wednesday next week, yes. All those statements of mine, there are more than 3 or 4.
That should be on is it 25th?
Yes.
Wednesday, 25th in the afternoon.
In the afternoon, sir.
So the Chairperson Finance, who is not present, I know they are very busy with the finance bill, and maybe they are doing. I'm informed they may have retreated to go and do their reports. The direction that they bring the report, the statement on Wednesday, should be communicated through the office of the leader majority, as well as the one to the Honorable Kosing on transport and energy. Yeah, I think let them bring I know this is a very trying period. I can see many members have one of the feet in the House, and the other foot is elsewhere. So I know this is it's a very difficult time. Then it can be given to one of the Kemunya. Move to the next order.
Order number 8, motion, report of the Committee of the Whole House on the Children Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2021. Question to be put.
Yeah. Question to be put?
Nothing.
Then you go to the yeah. Honour members, my record shows that the debate was concluded in the Committee of the Whole House, subject to recommendo. So I put the question, honour members, that this House do agree with the committee, with the report of the Committee of the Whole House on its consideration of the Children Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2021, subject to recommendo of clauses 30, 64, and 250. Will as many as other opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Yeah.
Speaker, let us not be putting the questions to serious bills when we don't have the numbers, the quorum numbers. This happened, Mr. Speaker, in the 10th Parliament. Honorable Milley and Honorable Bandi were my colleagues, and the leader of the current leader majority was the deputy leader of government business. We can continue with the debates, but putting the question is fundamental, is very critical both in the Constitution and in the standing orders. Yeah, so I'm just saying, even what the Speaker have done now, we need to count our numbers. You know, I am not talking to you people. I am talking to the Speaker. The Speaker, I'm talking to the Speaker. The Speaker, it's good, even if we are the tail end of the 12th Parliament, and people are busy, these bills and this legislation can even wait the 13th Parliament. Mr. Speaker, it is in the standing orders. It's very critical. Mr. Speaker, I'm asking if we have the required numbers. That's the thing. I mean, I'm not out of order. If you can tell me we have 50, myself, I'm here.
Well, it is, but I don't see any what is happening? Can you give Honorable John Bandi, give him the mic then.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, much as I appreciate the point of order raised by the Honorable Duale, but I think, Mr. Speaker, you cannot raise it retrospectively on a matter that has already been dealt with, unless now Honorable Duale is raising a point of order on quorum from now, then that makes sense. But if he's asking for what we have voted on, then it's a fait accompli. Mr. Speaker, but again, how I wish Honorable Duale allowed us to proceed. We know the circumstances, and we would continue and debate. If anything,
continue with the debate.
Yeah, we could have continued
with the debate.
If anything, debaters are here. He has actually taken advantage and canvassed so many issues without that quorum. And now, once he's done with canvassing his issues, he doesn't want the rest of us to also contribute. Yeah, Mr. Speaker, that is unfair.
Point of order.
Huh? No, but so is it the case that you're not? Is it the case that he's raising? Number 8 is spent. The issue of quorum can only now apply to order number 9, sorry. Yes. So, the Honorable Duale, your point of order is, yes. You see, the business appearing as order number 9 was concluded, and what remains is for the question to be put. Yeah, that is subject, if you look at it, it's order number 10, it's that business going to committee, recometo. Yeah. So, but before we go to order number 10, we have to deal with order number 9. Have you got that? Jiroga said, brought that data. What is happening? We know we can deal with that. So that is that what the because the business appearing as order number 9 is for the question to be put. Now, the Leader of Majority has received, I think, the copy of the reply. But before we do so, allow me to recognize the presence in the Speaker's Gallery of students from Acacia Crest Senior School from Kitengela, Kajiado County. They are welcome to observe the proceedings in the National Assembly. Does Leader of Majority want to read that answer, or you want to defer to the chair of JLAC?
Now, Speaker, I would prefer that we go through the usual route, that we refer, the answer will go to JLAC so they can interrogate it. If necessary, summon the other so that he shed light, and then they bring to us the comprehensive answer. Because I cannot, if I read it, I want to be a messenger relaying the matter. But JLAC will have the opportunity to interrogate the contents and give us the answer in accordance with what will satisfy the House.
By the way, was it a question or a statement?
It was a statement.
It was a statement.
Yeah.
No, you can't make a comment on something you haven't, that has not, it has not, yes?
Mr. Speaker, I have now interrogate the document, because the person who said, when I saw the statement, the chairperson of JLAC and the vice chair were not in the House, and the Leader of Majority, who ideally in a presidential system, parliamentary system, represents the executive, represent the party, which means the party in government, and the government means executive. I can rephrase it. The Leader of Majority who represents the party in government in power, and that is the executive, the national executive, took undertaking that he's going to deliver to the chair of JLAC. And now, unfortunately, when he got the answer, and he has read it, and he has seen the content of the letter, that's one now again to do that. But Mr. Speaker, now I want you to direct him that he should go by what he said, because I have a copy of this constitution, Mr. Speaker, has urged the House to do legislation on the procedure of transfer of power from one president to a president who won the election, president-elect. And I am happy to report, Mr. Speaker, that when we passed the Assumption of Office Act 2012, the Honorable Amos Kimunye, who is now the Leader of Majority, was the Deputy Leader of Government Business. And I was in this House. So I participated in this law. So there's no precedence, there's no lacuna in law. The Constitution is very specific in Article 154, subtitle, Secretary to the Cabinet. Then the Assumption of Office Act, which is here, is very specific also in Section 6, I think. It says the chair of the Assumption of Office is none other than the Secretary to the Cabinet. Mr. Speaker, since 2013, there was no substantive holder of the Secretary to the Cabinet. And it will raise a number of other issues which I am not very much concerned. The people of Kenya, who the Constitution belonged to, will raise it. Who was taking the minutes of the Cabinet, who was performing the function of the Secretary of the Cabinet in the absence of this. That is a story for other people. But mine is that we have a president who is leaving office in fact, 79 days, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, when the leader read the letter, and I agree with him, if I was in his shoes, I would also run away from this letter. Anybody, this letter, and that's why he's saying he wants the holder or the author of this letter, who is none other than the head of public service, Mr. Joseph Kinyua, who in the letter purports to be acting under the provision of Article 154. So in this letter, the head of public service has taken the role of the Secretary of the Cabinet. I have no problem, Mr. Speaker, but I want you, Mr. Speaker, to make explicit direction. Okay.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I was just concerned that the Honorable Duale has seen the response to the statement. He has perused. And he is now going deep into discussing it. The chair of JLAC, who would have brought it to the House, is not here. Honorable Speaker, I thought it will be fair that or I would like to kindly request you that we follow the route that had been requested by the Honorable Kimunya, that the response to the statement goes to JLAC because it is quite legal, so that they can analyze it, so that if there are any gaps, they will be able to take us through the document in a better way. Because now, Honorable Duale is poking more holes into a document that we have not even had the response from the chair JLAC. So, Honorable Speaker, I'm just requesting that we follow the route that had been requested by the Leader of Majority. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
You want to contribute to that also? But actually, ideally, there is no contribution to a point of order. Just for further education. Yeah? Extramural classes. The document has not formally been read out, the statement, so it will not be fair for the Honorable Duale to go to the contents. Don't go to the contents of the document because it has not. We needed to have it read out by either the chair JLAC or leader of the majority party. Yes. So, Honorable Duale, you can raise your point of order, but don't go to any details in the document.
Chair, in fact, it's good that I have a copy. But Honorable, just to talk to Honorable Nyamae, there's no route that the Leader of Majority will give. The routes are provided in the Constitution standing order, and if the routes are not there, the only person who can use standing order number 1 is the Speaker. So if you want to follow routes, follow the routes of the leader when he goes out of the chamber, not inside the chamber. The routes are very clearly defined. So the only one which is not defined, precedent, is the Speaker to use standing order number 1. So, Mr. Speaker, I think this is good. I have the copy of the answer. Then the Speaker just direct that next week, if JLAC wants to call the author of this letter, then I be notified, I appear, and deal with the matter. And Mr. Speaker, then maybe Wednesday next week. No, Mr. Speaker.
The statement will be, yeah.
But Mr. Speaker, a number of times, you can direct a number of times you have said, whether it's question or statement, if the person is summoned by the committee, in fact, I think I'm a member of parliament, I even don't need permission, I will attend, but I think because I'm the originator, you can direct that I be there, ask my questions, but all the same, the Speaker, because Tuesday I will not be around, I'll really ask you that the answer be brought on Wednesday. It's a matter of national importance.
No, in fact, since it's not a question, what you did is you sought a statement. And therefore, because the Leader Majority would want it to be read out by the chair of JLAC or the vice chair or any other member of the committee that may feel strong enough to read it out to the House. Let's take it that the Leader Majority will forward this response. If not the Leader Majority, as I suspect could have happened, the clerk then will forward the response to the chair of JLAC to come and present it here on Wednesday in the afternoon sitting, 2:30. I think that's a better route to go. I hope that these other interventions are not about that. Not about that, Honorable Pukose.
Honorable Speaker, I'm not challenging your ruling. But since the chairman, Honorable Muturi Kikano, was denied the ticket, he's not been seen in the house. Yes, he was denied the Jubilee ticket, so he's not been seen in the house. And I would request, Honorable Speaker, that the majority leader, since he's here, takes responsibility that that statement will be here on Wednesday.
The Honorable Muturi Kigano remains a member of Parliament for Kangema until a new one is elected on the 9th of, and he is at liberty to continue executing the functions of his office as chair of JLAC. But he is always, as you have noticed, he is always ably represented by the vice chair, the Honorable TJ Kajwang, who unfortunately appears to be also absent today. Please use the member for Mwea. You don't have account? No.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I just wanted to say it's really unfortunate when a member stands to say that somebody has been denied a card, or rather denied nomination. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Muturi Kigano is an active member of this parliament, and he's always here.
That is actually, I have already made a ruling that the Honorable Muturi Kigano
It's really unfortunate. This is the second time the honorable member has a rude talked about the same, and I don't know, same thing about Muturi, and I've been watching and hearing. I don't know what he has about Muturi, so this should now go.
You know, the unfortunate
should now be the last time for him.
The unfortunate debate, the Honorable Kabinga, is the Honorable Muturi Kigano is a member of this house.
Yes.
And he is at liberty to actually say that, come and deny that he has been denied anything.
Yes, but not a member representing the same.
No, there's nothing wrong with a member saying something like that. In fact, he is right to say that you are wearing a red tie. It's just something like that. Or is it maroon? The member for Suba North is correcting me. It's maroon. So the member for Endebes is at liberty to say that the Honorable Kabinga Washira is wearing spectacles.
I am not sure. The things you talk.
No. Let's move on. Let's move on. Honorable members. Now, can we move to the next order?
Order number 9, motion, establishment of a parliamentary health services unit. Question to be put.
Is this the point at which the Honorable Duale is... Honorable Duale, is it the point at which you are raising the point of this question to be put?
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I think I want to ask the leader of majority to defer all the orders where we are putting the question, because we are not 50.
Very well, sir, very well. For reasons that are obvious, we defer the putting of the question on order number 9. And we move to the next order.
Order number 10, Committee of the Whole House.
Order members. Order members. Can we have some order members? Honourable members, in the committee of the whole house, to consider recommittal on clauses 30, 64, and 250.
Clause 30.
I propose a question which is that clause 30 be part of the bill. Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I propose that the bill be amended by deleting clause 30 and substituting thereof the following new sub-clause. Honorable Chair, this seeks to substitute the clause that was amended at committee stage, Honorable Chair, and all we are doing is to harmonize the proposal that came from Honorable Miri Othiambo with that of the committee, Honorable Chair, and generally what we are doing is to attempt to substitute that clause in a manner that recognizes equal responsibility of parents, whether married or not married, Honorable Chair. We found Honorable Miri Othiambo's proposal good, yet ours was also necessary, so we harmonized the two, and we agreed with Miri that that's the way to go, Honorable Chair.
Very well. With that, I propose a question which is as clause 30 be amended as proposed by the chair. Let me have Honorable Member for Suba North, Millie Odhiambo.
Thank you very much, Chair. I wish to thank the Honorable Chair of the committee for bringing that amendment, and I do support, Chair. That is actually something that has even been litigated in court and now conforms with Article 53 of the Constitution that makes sure that all parents have an equal right to their children. And if Honorable Kaluma was here, I think I saw him come in and leave. This is also what Honorable Kaluma was trying to do, that people always presume that it's the mother who has a right to children, but fathers also equally have a right to their children. So I do support. Thank you, Chair.
Let me have Honorable CNN, Charles Nguna. And you seem not to be having a card.
Chair, indeed, I'm excited by this amendment, and I think, Chair, I rise to support it because a majority of the parents who have been actually raising kids, they think mothers are more superior than fathers. So I support, Chair.
With that, thank you. With that, members, I put the question, which is that clause 30 be amended as proposed by the chair. Will as many as of this opinion say aye? And as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I put the question, which is that clause 30 as amended be part of the bill. As many as of this opinion say aye, and as many as of a contrary opinion say nay. Honorable members, the ayes have it.
Clause 64.
I propose a question, which is that clause 64 be part of the bill. We have a proposed amendment. Yes, Leader of Majority.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I beg to move that clause 64 be further amended by inserting the following new subclauses immediately after subclause 2, and the details of which are detailed on the order paper. Honorable Chair, when we were processing the bill, the committee had recommended deletion of the powers of the Cabinet Secretary to designate certain children's institutions as rescue centers on the basis that it's only the Cabinet Secretary who will establish. No, knowing where we are, the budgetary constraints that we have, we thought it will be important to reserve that power so that in the event that the government cannot establish on its own, and yet there are some that are approved, subject to the regulations that are also being provided for, that the Cabinet Secretary may not only establish, but can designate some that are already existing, pending the full capacity to establish from a government perspective. So this is basically to ensure that the rescue operations of children will not be jeopardized by the capacity or lack of capacity by the Cabinet Secretary to establish rescue centers in the meantime. And I think that's it's something that we've agreed on, that it needs to come back. So I beg to move.
Very well, members, I propose the question, which is that clause 64 be amended as proposed by the Leader of Majority. Honorable Member for Kitui South. Honorable Nyamai.
Thank you, Honorable Madam Speaker. I would like to support this. Thank you, Honorable Chair. I would like to support this amendment, bearing in mind that the rescue centers will be needed because of the demand that is there, and that we need to give authority to other people to establish these centers beyond the Cabinet Secretary. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Very well. Honorable Suba North, you want to comment on this? Yes.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Chair, I think this is a good proposal. And the reason why this is a good proposal is because then it will enable us anchor certain institutions in law, because this is an issue that has actually been creating for us a lot of problems. When the government gives funding to certain institutions, it has created a lot of problems with the budget committee. But now it gives the Cabinet Secretary the opportunity to designate certain institutions so that they can be able to access government funding. What we would want to encourage, and that I would want to have in record, is that we have agreed that there should be a transitional period of 2 years within which those regulations should be in place, so that we don't have within 2 years another challenge again, where people are coming again to question certain institutions. But also one good thing I like is that we don't seem to be giving some institutions preferential treatment in the bill, because there was such an outcry. I do support.
Thank you. The member for Juja, you want to? Is the member for Juja? Oh, sorry, and you are on intervention. With that, members, I put the question, which is a clause 64, be amended as proposed by the Leader of Majority. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Honourable members, please pay attention to this. I put the question, which is that clause 64 be amended as proposed by the Leader of Majority. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? And as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? Members, the ayes have it. I put the question, which is at clause 64, as amended, be part of the bill. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? And as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? Members, the ayes have it. Next.
Clause 250.
I propose the question, which is at clause 250, be part of the bill. Leader of Majority, please move your proposed amendment.
Thank you. Honourable Chair, I beg to move that clause 250 be amended, again, as detailed on the order paper. And the essence of this amendment is to obligate all the children's institutions that receive public funds, first of all, to keep proper books of account, and to be subjected to public audit. Because we have, within the Schedule 8 of the bill, we have allowed a 2-year period for institutions to continue receiving public funds. And indeed, we've also now, within this clause 64, allowed the minister to designate certain institutions. And hence, any institution that receives public funds in accordance with the Constitution is an obligation to then keep the proper books and to be subjected to audit. So, but we are putting in here for abundance of caution and for avoidance of doubt that anyone receiving money under the Children's Act will be under obligation to keep proper books of accounts and also to be audited in accordance with the provisions of the Public Audit Act. So that's the essence of this. It's a very important thing for accountability, so that we ensure the public money, wherever it is accounted for. I beg to move.
You beg to move. Honourable members, with that import, I propose the question, which is at clause 250, be amended as proposed by the Leader of Majority. Honourable member for Suba North, I see your intervention.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, again, let me stand to support this. I think one of the issues that I was uncomfortable with is that we fund agencies that are not subjected to audit, and it's public funds. So now even if you are giving certain agencies that we know are complementing the work of the government, but they must be subject to audit. So I really fully support that from a governance perspective. Thank you. Professor?
Let me have the member for, you're not on, you didn't, your chip is not working. Let me have the professor. Or do I?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Chair, I'd like to support this amendment, in particular, Chair, because it is providing room to get public audit and to also have an eye on institutions, Chair, that handle children. Because, Chair, in practice, we have had a situation where there has been a lot of outcry, and because there wasn't that avenue to get the audit, it was not easy to defend. I want to support this, Chair, and say it is the way that we need to go to ensure that we have accountability. Thank you, Chair.
The member for Taveta, the Honorable Shaban Namsi.
Asante sana mwenyekiti. Kuna umuhimu nataka kuunga mkono mapendekezo haya kwa sababu kuna umuhimu wa ukaguzi wa vitabu haswa kwenye yale mashirika ambayo yanayopatiwa pesa za umma, na wasije wakazitumia kiolelaolela bila kufikiria kuwa zinaweza kukaguliwa. Kwa hivyo naunga mkono mheshimiwa mwenyekiti.
Asante Mheshimiwa Taveta. Your intervention, the CNN, Honorable Charles Nguna.
Chair, actually, I'm just reinforcing what my colleagues have said. I support these amendments because we need accountability and transparency as far as the public funds are concerned. So, Chair, I support.
You support. And members, with that, I put the question, which is that clause 250 be amended as proposed by the leader of majority. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? And as many as are of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I put the question to the clause, which is a clause 250 as amended, be part of the bill. As many as are of that opinion say aye, and as many as of contrary opinion say nay. Remember, the ayes have it. Remember, we are through with the committee of the whole on the Children Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2021. So I call upon the mover to report.
So, Honorable Chairperson, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Children's Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2021, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Honourable members, I put the question for reporting, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Children Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2021, and its approval thereof with amendments. As many as of that opinion say aye, and as many as of a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it.
Honourable members, Madam Speaker.
Can we have the chairperson to report of the committee? Honorable.
Madam Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Children's Bill, National Assembly Bill number 38 of 2021, and approved the same with amendments.
Let's have the mover of the bill to move agreement with the report.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. And as I call Honorable Millie Othiambo to second the motion for agreement with the report of the Committee of the Whole House, I would also want to request you, Madam Speaker, that to defer the putting of the question in accordance with Standing Order number 53. I beg to move and request the Honorable Millie Odhiambo to second.
Very well. Honorable Millie Odhiambo for seconding.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I do second and just indicate that I'm very happy that after very many years, we are getting very close to completing new children bill. Thank you, and I second.
Honourable members, I propose a question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. As requested and of course observed by the Leader of Majority, honourable members, I do defer putting of the question on the same. Putting the question on the report, adoption, yes, as it deferred. Next order.
Order number 11, motion, implementation status of the reports on a petition on irregular renewal of leases of land by Del Monte Kenya Limited and eviction of workers from their land in Roysambu by KDF.
This is by the Chairperson Committee on Implementation.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopt the report of the Committee on Implementation on its consideration of the implementation status of the following matters. 1, the report of the Departmental Committee on Lands on a petition on irregular renewal of leases of land by Del Monte Kenya Limited, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, December 22nd, 2021. And 2, the report of the Committee on Lands, let me repeat, the report of the Departmental Committee on Lands on its consideration of the petition by former workers of the late Mayor Jacob Samuels regarding the invasion and eviction of the workers from their land in Roysambu constituency by the Kenya Defence Forces, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, December 22nd, 2021. Honorable Speaker, the Committee of Implementation is the committee that's there to ensure that Parliament does not act in vain. And those powers are actually provided for under Standing Order 209 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, and also buttressed by Standing Order 201 and Article 153, Sub-Article 4B of the Constitution of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the said mandate, the committee resolved to be apprised on the implementation status of the recommendations contained in the aforementioned reports. Honorable Speaker, just to give a background, the petition was made by Philip Njogona on behalf of the Kandara Residents Association regarding regular renewal of leases by the Del Monte Kenya Limited. It was presented to the House on the 11th of June 2019. The petitioners claim to be the original owners of the land presently occupied by Del Monte Kenya Limited, but were illegally displaced and the land leased to the company. They were aggrieved that the county government of Murang'a had renewed the leases for the company without first involving the public as required by Section 13 of the Land Act 2012. They also claimed that the county government disregarded the determination of the National Land Commission rendered on February 7, 2019 in the historical injustice claim filed with the Commission. So, Honorable Speaker, this is about historical land injustices. Honorable Speaker, in a Gazette Notice number 1995 for 2019, the National Land Commission directed that the land held by Del Monte Kenya Limited should be resurveyed to establish if the company owned land that it is not registered to have. The surplus land, if any, was to be surrendered to the Kandara Residents Association and the county government for a public purpose in the ratio of 70-30 respectively. Honorable Speaker, where no surplus land was found, the county government of Murang'a should retain adequate land for the settlement of the claimants and for public purposes upon expiry of the leases. The Commission also directed that Del Monte Kenya Limited should surrender all public utilities within the land in question to the relevant national and county government agencies, whether the leases have expired or not. Honorable Speaker, the Departmental Committee on Lands in its report tabled on 21st December 2019 recommended that the Director of Survey, Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning resurvey the land held by Del Monte Kenya Limited in Murang'a and Kiambu counties. The committee also recommended that the National Land Commission does investigate the circumstances under which LR numbers 10862, 10741, 11312, 2953, 4873, and 11146 that were said to have been surrendered to the government by Sasa Coffee and Rapid B were regularly acquired by Del Monte Kenya Limited. Honorable Speaker, the Select Committee on Implementation commenced to apprise itself on the implementation status of the matter and invited the Cabinet Secretary for the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning and the Chairperson of the National Land Commission to a meeting on 27th October 2020 and 14th April 2021 and 29th July 2021, respectively. The committee also received written submissions by the Cabinet Secretary for the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning on the 2nd of August 2021. Kandara Residents Association also made a written submission on the 7th of October 2021. Honorable Speaker, to give the implementation status of the recommendations, one, on recommendation 10 was actually that on the recommendation that the Director of Survey, Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning does resurvey the land held by the Del Monte Kenya Limited in Murang'a and Kiambu counties, the committee notes that this has been implemented. However, the committee was not satisfied with the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning submission that Del Monte Kenya Limited does not hold excess land. On the recommendation that the National Land Commission investigates the circumstances under which LR numbers 10862, 10741, 11312, 2953, 4873, and 11146 that were said to have been surrendered to the government by two companies, namely Sasa Coffee and Rapid B Limited, were later regularly acquired by Del Monte Limited. The committee notes that this has not been done, as the Ministry of Lands and NLC submitted that due to passage of time, it had not been able to unearth how the company acquired the land. The committee notes that there were no sufficient records on how the transfer of land to Del Monte Kenya Limited in 1973 was carried out. The committee therefore notes that the land ought to be public land. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the said observation, the committee, following the observations made after deliberations and the implementation status, makes the following recommendations. That the lease for LR number 12153, which resulted from the amalgamation of the LR numbers already alluded to, which measures up to 7,407 acres, which is 2,963.1 hectares, should be reverted to the government of Kenya and declared as public land and allocated to Kandara Residents Association for the settlement within 60 days of the report, which should have been actually carried out by now, and which should be done immediately after adoption of this report, failure to which the committee shall enforce appropriate sanctions pursuant to Standing Order 2093 of the National Assembly Standing Orders. 2, in consultation with the National Land Commission, the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning should allocate the land excised from the Del Monte Limited to Kandara Residents Association and county governments of Murang'a and Kiambu in the ratio of 70-30, respectively, as per the National Land Commission's Gazette Notice 1995 of 2019, within 60 days of the adoption of this report. Failure to which the committee shall enforce appropriate sanctions pursuant to Standing Order 2193 of the National Assembly Standing Orders. Honorable Speaker, this being a historical land justice matter, I think this is something that should be pursued relentlessly, so that the land can revert to the original and real owners. Honorable Speaker, on the other matter, that the implementation status of the report of the Departmental Committee on Lands on its consideration of the petition by former workers of the late Jacob Mayor Samuels regarding evasion and eviction of workers from their land in the Roysambu constituency by the Kenya Defence Forces. Honorable Speaker, to also give a brief background on this matter, the petition by former workers of the late Mayor Jacob Samuels regarding evasion and eviction from the land by the Kenya Defence Forces was presented to the House on the 27th of June 2019. The petitioners claimed that they were former workers of the late Mayor Jacob Samuels, employed in his sisal processing farm and workshop industry on LR number 5878/2 before his death in 1974. They claimed that the deceased family allowed them to continue staying on the land after they could not pay their salaries. According to the Ministry of Lands, LR number 5875/2, the land in dispute was compulsorily acquired by the Commission of Lands via Gazette Notices number 5151 and 5152 of 1985, pursuant to a request by the then Permanent Secretary in charge of the Department of Defense in the Office of the President. The National Land Commission's position is to the effect that the Department of Defense acquired land which was at 1999 lease in 1986, and that the lease was to expire in 2005. Solio Construction Company Limited, which sold land to Kasarani Mall Limited, was allocated LR number 5875/2 on the 1st of July 1999, and the allocation was done when another lease was subsisting, which actually brought the issue of double allocation. Honorable Speaker, further, during deliberations of the matter by the Departmental Committee on Lands, the committee had that investigation by the National Land Commission showed that Solio Construction Limited had two sets of titles for the same property. The first was registered on 18 May 1992 with different LR numbers, while the second set was a title registered on 20th January 2001. Additionally, it also emerged that the transfer form that was used to transfer parcel of land LR number 5875/2 was fraudulent, as the officer who was purported to have signed the document appearing before the Departmental Committee on Lands disowned the document and claimed that that land was actually not validly owned, as it was actually a forgery. Honorable Speaker, the Departmental Committee on Lands tabled its report on 5th December 2019 and made the following recommendation: that the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning, in consultation with the National Land Commission and the Nairobi County Government, does complete the titling process of LR number 5875/2 within 180 days of the tabling of the report. This was actually for the benefit of the people who are left on the farm by Samuels. 2, the Director of Criminal Investigation does investigate the officers in the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning who may have caused loss of public funds by effecting fraudulent transactions relating to LR number 5875/2. And the Director of Public Prosecution does prosecute any person found culpable within 90 days of tabling of the report. And that the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning does secure the title relating to LR number 23393 with a view of ensuring that innocent Kenyans do not lose money through fraudulent transactions as evidenced by the attempt to amalgamate LR number 5875/2. Honorable Speaker, in following on the implementation status of the above recommendations, the committee held numerous meetings with the Cabinet Secretary and other officials of the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning and officials of the National Land Commission. The committee notes that the House had directed that the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning, in consultation with the National Land Commission and the Nairobi County Government, does complete the titling process of LR number 5875/2 within 180 days of the tabling of the report. This is yet to be implemented over 2 years later. There is an unnecessary delay, which is actually causing a lot of hardship to the people who are supposed to benefit from this report of Parliament. Honorable Speaker, on the implementation status, as regards the recommendation that the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning, in consultation with the National Land Commission and the Nairobi County Government, does complete the titling process for LR number 5875/2 within 180 days of tabling of the report, the committee knows that this has not been implemented. The Cabinet Secretary submitted that this resolution could not be implemented due to the advisory by the Honorable Attorney General via letter reference number AG/CIV/47/20 dated 11 August 2020 to the National Assembly, indicating that the land parcel number LR number 5872 belongs to the National Defense Forces. As regards the recommendation that the Director for Criminal Investigations does investigate the officers in the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning who may have caused loss of public funds by effecting fraudulent transactions relating to LR number 5875/2, and the Director of Public Prosecution does prosecute any person found culpable within 90 days of tabling of the report. The committee is yet to receive a report from the Director of Criminal Investigation, so nothing has been done, which is actually also causing further hardship to the beneficiaries to that land. As regards the recommendation that the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning does secure the titling to LR number 23393 with a view of ensuring that innocent Kenyans do not lose money through fraudulent transaction, as evidenced by the attempt to amalgamate it with LR number 5875/2, the committee notes that LR number 23393 is registered in favor of Kasarani Mall Limited. The parcel is adjacent to LR number 5875/2 and it's not in contention within that application by Kasarani Mall Limited for amalgamation of the two properties. Was never finalized. This recommendation has therefore been implemented. Honorable Speaker, the committee, following the observations made after deliberation on the implementation status, makes the following recommendation. One, that the House should initiate the process of removal of the Cabinet Secretary for the Ministry of Lands, Physical Planning for failure to implement the House resolution that the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning, in consultation with the National Land Commission and the Nairobi County Government, does complete the titling process for LR number 5875 within 180 days of tabling of the report, pursuant to Article 152(6) of the Constitution of Kenya and Standing Order 66 of the National Assembly Standing Order. Honorable Speaker, the Inspector General of Police should ensure that the Directorate for Criminal Investigation does investigate the officers in the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning who may have caused loss of public funds by effecting fraudulent transactions relating to LR number 5875/2 and submit a report to the National Assembly within 60 days of the adoption of this report. Honorable Speaker, these are very important reports. It actually shows how the ordinary Kenyans are oppressed and how their rights have been tumbled on, and the historical injustices are still continuing. And it's for this House to ensure that this is stopped forthwith and that the people concerned benefit from what Parliament has given them. Honorable Speaker, I therefore beg to move and urge the House to adopt this report and now request the Honorable Peter Kihara, MP, to second. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Peter Kiara, the MP, Matthew, for seconding.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand to second and wish to state that, Honorable Speaker, I think these are fairly straightforward matters, and the Chair Committee of Implementation has put a very, very weighty case. These are weighty matters regarding lands, and for which ordinary Kenyans have actually been defrauded their lands. Honorable Speaker, these are matters that had already been investigated by Committee of Lands, and for their recommendations brought to this House and adopted by this House. And the findings of the Implementation Committee at this stage is that despite being over 1 year, having been brought to this House almost a year ago, to date, that those recommendations by our Lands Committee have not been implemented. Largely, almost 99% have not been implemented at all. This obviously shows that there are officers in government who do not take seriously issues that have been passed by this House. For instance, if you look, even the issue of the land, the Del Monte land, even the National Lands Commission had even gazetted and issued a gazette notice, 1995 of 2019, to the effect that the land should be excised and allocated from Del Monte and allocated to Kandara Residents Association, the county government of Murang'a and the county government of Kiambu, and even went ahead and gave the ratio within which those the land so adjudicated should be excised, should be shared. 70-30, at the ratio of 70-30. To date, that has not been done. This has fully been ignored. If you go to the other issue, where innocent Kenyans in Maya Jacob's land, where he bequeathed his land to his own employees following his demise. To date, others have gone ahead to try and defraud innocent Kenyans of that piece of land, and leaving them helpless. Honorable Speaker, I think I support the chair of the Implementation Committee, and I request that this House do adopt this report and that we be able to move these matters to the next level. If these matters are not taken seriously and in a weighty manner, the recommendations of our committees will continue to be ignored by those in authority or in those in various ministries. Honorable Speaker, I pray, it's my prayer that this will be moved to the next level and that this House will adapt this report, because we are just following, we just went ahead to look at and see whether the recommendations have been adapted. We need to ensure that government can work harmoniously and that innocent Kenyans don't lose. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I second.
You second. Very well. Let me give you a chance to resume your seat, whoever. Thank you, honorable members. I propose the question, which that this House adopts the report of the Select Committee on Implementation on its consideration of the implementation status of the following matters. 1, the report of the Departmental Committee on Lands on a petition on irregular renewal of leases of land by the Del Monte Kenya Limited, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, December 22nd, 2021. And 2, the report of the Departmental Committee on Lands on its consideration of the petition by former workers of the late Mayor Jacob Samuel regarding the invasion and eviction of the workers from their land in Roysambu constituency by the Kenya Defence Forces, laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, December 22nd, 2021. I see a request to speak to the motion by the Honorable Member for Kitui South, the Honorable Nyamai Rachel.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me a chance to also make a contribution to this motion on implementation status of these two reports on the Departmental Committee on Lands, which are the report of the Departmental Committee on Lands on a petition on irregular renewal of leases of land by Del Monte Kenya Limited, and 2, the report of the Departmental Committee on Lands on its consideration of the petition by the former workers of the late Mayor Jacobs Samuels regarding invasion and eviction of the workers from their land in Roysambu constituency by KDF. Honorable Speaker, I must start by thanking the Departmental Committee on Implementation that they have followed on these reports to ensure implementation. Honorable Speaker, these two reports were tabled in this House on the 21st of November 2019 and on the 5th of December 2019 respectively. Honorable Speaker, I've had a chance to go through the two reports on implementation, and I must first commend the committee on implementation for doing a good job and ensuring that we do not pass resolutions in vain. Honorable Speaker, before I continue, I would also like to say that as a House and also as the Departmental Committee on Lands, we value the importance of Del Monte in this country, their contribution to employment in this country, their contribution to revenue collection for this country. So as we considered these two reports, we knew the kind of institution that we were dealing with, and I believe that it's the same consideration that has been done by the Departmental Committee on Implementation. Honorable Speaker, kindly allow me to refer to the recommendations of the Committee on Implementation on two issues. Honorable Speaker, first, in our report on implementation on irregular renewal of leases of land by Del Monte Kenya Limited, we had made two recommendations, being 1, the Director of Survey, Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning, does resurvey the land held by Del Monte Limited in Noranga and Kiambu counties. On this recommendation, Madam Speaker, the Committee on Implementation notes that this has been done and that they are satisfied and happy as a committee. We are also satisfied as a committee that our recommendation was fully implemented. Honorable Speaker, our second recommendation was that National Land Commission investigates the circumstances under which LR number 10862, 10741, 11312, 2953, 4872, and 11148 were said to have been surrendered to government by two companies, namely Sasa Coffee and Rapid B Limited, were irregularly acquired by Del Monte. Honorable Speaker, I note that the Committee on Implementation notes that this has not been done, and it further recommends that LR number 12158, which resulted from amalgamation of LR number 10741, 10862, 10741, 11312, 2952 should be reverted to Government of Kenya as public land, and that the land should be allocated to residents of Kandara Association. Further, the Committee on Implementation recommends that the land excised from Del Monte should be allocated to Kandara residents and the county government of Moranga and Kiambu. Honorable Speaker, our committee did actually mention this, and I can see that the Departmental Committee on Implementation also agrees with us. Honorable Speaker, the matter of the ratio, I believe that it does not belong to this House, but this does not make me, as the member for Kitui South or as the chair, disagree with this vote. Honorable Speaker, I would like to go straight to a very important matter because I can see that my time is up, to the matter of Mayor Jacobs, to the matter of the petition by former workers of Mayor Jacobs Samuels regarding invasion and eviction of the workers. Honorable Speaker, here is where the Departmental Committee on Implementation raises a very sensitive recommendation on removal of a cabinet secretary. Honorable Speaker, I would like to say that as much as I agree with the report, I would like to request them to expunge this part because it is unnecessary and it is bringing a different issue on a matter of implementation of a report. Honorable Speaker, the circumstances under which a cabinet secretary can be removed are clearly stated, and the reason as to why the cabinet secretary for the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning did not implement is because of
Yes. To give us the reason.
Thank you. Thank you very
1
much
minute,
for engaging me, Honorable Speaker. I would like to say that the circumstances for which a cabinet secretary can be removed are clearly stated, Honorable Speaker. One of them is gross violation of the Constitution or any other law. 2, where there are serious reasons for believing that the cabinet secretary has committed crime under national or international law. 3, for gross misconduct. Honorable Speaker, Article 152 of the Constitution does not provide for the removal of a cabinet secretary on grounds that the cabinet secretary has followed the advice of the Attorney General. Honorable Speaker, consequently, I would like to request that this is expunged from this report. With that, Honorable Speaker, I would like to say that I agree with the report. However, I do not agree with their recommendation in paragraph 71. Honorable Speaker, I support, and I would like to request the chair that he either moves amendment or we can move an amendment to expunge paragraph 71, which states removal of a cabinet secretary. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thank you very much for indulging me.
Very well. For the leader of majority, you want to say something on this?
Not quite.
Very well. With that, is for the request made by the honorable member for Kitui. Of course, you know the process, unless it comes from the chairperson himself. As a matter of procedure, must be very procedural. Yes, let us have, Kimani had already spoken to this. Kimani had already spoken to motion number 11. Because to change a report, it has to be procedurally done. the member wants to make a contribution to this, and there's, yeah. Yes, the Honorable.
I would like maybe if
These machines. Yes, Honorable Member.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I think I had my colleague talk about it. We had actually discussed it. But you know, we are not saying about the removal. I think there is something that must be understood. This is actually provided for under Standing Order 209(3), which provides that the committee may propose to the House sanctions against any cabinet secretary who fails to report to the relevant select committee on implementation status without justifiable reasons. What we are saying is that Parliament gave resolved. Actually, these beneficiaries of this land of Samuels had actually gone to the extent of paying for their titles. But continuously and successfully, on several occasions, the CS has actually refused or neglected to carry out the resolution of Parliament. So it's for us to recommend to the House, it's for the House to either accept our proposal or accept it. It's not final on our part, but we are just recommending, and I think our recommendation is not really binding as such. So the House can agree with us or not agree with us.
So you are leaving it for the House to approve.
It's already,
Honorable, yes, but Honorable, since we are just replying the member, the Honorable Member for Kitui South, we usually request for an amendment, and as a matter of procedure, the amendment is debated, it's either carried or not carried, and then before we come to the main, that is the procedure. That is the procedure. There is an intervention by the Leader Majority. Yes, Millie Odhiambo, member for Suba North. Yes, the member for Suba North. The Honorable Millie Accord.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think we are raising very significant issues, and we don't have quorum. Thank you.
Yes, very well, Honorable Millie Odhiambo has rose on the quorum issue. And yes, I confirm that we are not corrected, and I do order that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes.
No, notice of a motion, yeah. Itakuwa kwa order. Then tukileta, now as I contribute, I will also bring the otherwise sasa tukimaliza hapa, we move to reply. So we can go and rest. So wengine walienda mbele yetu. Wengine wameenda.
Did they move a motion to? No. Huh? They didn't. Either way, it was only. No, but even so, it didn't have any. It didn't have any morning. 24th.
We have done the most important deed that you can.
I got a bit late.
Yeah. So until, in fact, the only things that are is the veterans, the ones we cleared, and children we finished the veterans.
So what happens provide for that.
So
beginning of us. Beginning of the house.
Order members. Order. Order, Honorable Millie. Honorable members, we have not been able to get sufficient quorum for us to continue the business of the day, and the time being 4:43 p.m. This House stands adjourned until the Tuesday 24th May 2022 at 2:30 p.m. I thank you all.